The Arabian Nights, the Christian broker's tale, the young man with the severed hand and the beautiful girl. So after all the suspects were called upon the king of China, the Christian asked to tell him a story. "O king, I came as a stranger to your country, bringing merchandise with me, and was fated to stay here these many years. I was born a Copt, a native of Cairo. My father was a prominent broker, and when he died, I became a broker in his place, and worked there for many years. One day, as I was sitting in the market of the fodder merchants in Cairo, a handsome and finely dressed young man came up to me. He saluted me, and I rose in salute. Then he took out a handkerchief containing sesame and asked me, 'How much is the measure worth?' The Christian broker said. So I replied to the young man, 'It is worth 100 dirhams, he said. 'Take a measurer and some porters and come to the Al Juli caravansary by the Gate of Victory, where you will find me.' I rose and went to find a beer, making the rounds of the sesame merchants, confectioners, and dealers, and got 100 dirhams per measure. Then I took with me 4 teams of porters and went with them to the Al Juli caravansary, where I found the young man waiting for me. As soon as he saw me, he rose and led me to the storeroom, saying, 'Let the measurer enter to measure, while the porters load the donkeys.' The porters kept loading, one team coming and one team going, until they emptied the storeroom, carrying 50 measures in all, costing 5,000 dirhams. Then the young man said to me, 'Take 10 dirhams per measure for your brokerage, and keep my share of 4,500 dirhams with you. When I finish selling the rest of my crop, I will come to you and take the money.' I replied, 'Very well,' kissed his hand, and departed, surprised at his liberality. For a month I sat waiting for him until he finally came and asked, 'Where is the money?' I welcomed him and invited him to sit with me and have something to eat, but he refused and said, 'Go and get the money, and in a little while I will come back to take it from you.' Then he departed on asback, while I went and brought the money and sat waiting for him. But again he did not show up for a month, and I said to myself, 'This is indeed a liberal young man. He has left 4,500 dirhams of his money with me, 4 full months, without coming to take it.' At last he came back, riding an ass, dressed in fine clothes, and looking as if he had just come from the bath. When I saw him, I left the shop and went up to him, saying, 'Sir, will you take your money back?' He replied, 'What is the hurry? Wait until I sell the rest of my crop. Then I'll take it from you next week.' When he left, I said to myself, 'When he comes back next time, I will invite him to eat with me.' He was absent for the rest of the year, during which I used his money, trading with it and making a great deal of profit. At the end of the year, he came back again, dressed in fine clothes. When I saw him, I went up to him and swore by the New Testament that he must eat with me as my guest. He agreed, saying, 'On condition that what you spend on me will be from my own money.' I replied, 'Very well.' Then I went in, prepared the place for him and seated him. Then I went to the market and, getting enough of beverages, stuffed chickens, and sweets, set them before him, saying, 'Please help yourself.' He came to the table and began to eat with his left hand. I said to myself, 'Only God is perfect. Here is a young man who is handsome and respectable, yet so conceited that he does not bother to use his right hand in eating with me.' But I ate with him. When we finished eating, I poured water on his hand and gave him something to wipe it with, and after I offered him some sweets, we sat to chat. I asked him, 'Sir, relieve my mind by telling me why you ate with me with your left hand. Does something ail your right hand?' When the young man heard my question, he wept and recited the following verses. 'If Layla I have for Salma exchanged, 'twas not at will, but by necessity.' Then he drew his right arm from his bosom and showed it to me. It was a stump, with the hand cut off at the wrist. I was astonished at this, and he said to me, 'Don't wonder and say to yourself that I am conceited, and have eaten with my left hand out of conceit. There is a strange story behind the cutting off of my hand.' I asked, 'How came it to be cut off?' Sighing and weeping, he said, 'I was a native of Baghdad, and the son of one of its most prominent men. When I reached manhood, I heard travelers and other people tell of the land of Egypt, and it stayed in my mind. When my father died, and I inherited his business, I prepared a load of merchandise, taking with me all kinds of fabrics of Baghdad and Mosul, including 1,000 silk cloaks. Then I left Baghdad and journeyed until I reached Egypt. When I entered Cairo, I unloaded at the Masra caravanserai, where I unpacked the goods and stored them in the storerooms. Then I gave one of my servants money to prepare some food, and after I and my servants ate and I took a rest, I went out for a walk along Bain al-Qays Range Street, and then came back and slept. When I arose, I opened the bales of fabric and said to myself, I will go to some good market and find out the prices. I took samples and, giving them to one of my servants to carry, put on my finest clothes and walked out until I came to the Gerges market. When I entered, I was met by the brokers, who had already heard of my arrival. They took my fabrics and auctioned them, but the pieces failed to fetch even their cost. I was vexed and said to the brokers, my pieces did not fetch even their cost, but they replied, Sir, we can tell you how you can make a profit without risk. The brokers said, you should do what the other merchants do and sell your goods on credit for a fixed period, on a contract drawn by a scribe and duly witnessed. Employ a money changer and collect your money every Monday and Thursday. In this way you will make a profit, while you spend your own time enjoying the sights of Cairo and the Nile. I said, this is a good idea, and took the brokers and the porters with me to the caravanserai, where I took out the bales of fabric, and they carried them and went with me to the market, where I sold them on credit, on a written and duly witnessed contract which I left with the banker. Then I left the market and returned to the caravanserai. I lived there, breakfasting every morning on a cup of wine, mutton, pigeons, and sweets, until a month went by, and the time came when my receipts began to fall due. Then I began to go to the market every Monday and Thursday, and sit in the shop of one or other of the merchants, while the scribe and money changer went around to collect the money till past the afternoon prayer, when they would bring it, and I would count it, and give them a receipt for it and take it and return to the caravanserai. I did this for 6 days, until one day, which happened to be a Monday, I went early to the bath. When I came out, I put on nice clothes and returned to my place in the caravanserai, where I breakfasted on a cup of wine, and then went to sleep. Then I arose, ate a boiled chicken and, perfuming myself, went to the market and sat at the shop of a merchant called Badr al-Din al-Bustani. We sat chatting for a while, when a lady, wearing a cloak and a magnificent headcloth and exhaling perfume, came up to the shop, and her beauty at once captured my heart. She saluted Badr al-Din, raising her upper veil and revealing a pair of large black eyes. He welcomed her and stood talking with her, and when I heard her speech, the love of her got hold of my heart, and I felt a sense of foreboding. Then she asked him, do you have a piece of silk fabric with hunting scenes? He showed her one of the pieces he had gotten from me, and she bought it for 1,200 dirhams. Then she said to him, with your permission, I will take it with me and send you the money next market day. He replied, this is not possible, my lady, for this gentleman is the owner of the piece, and I have to pay him for it today. She said, shame on you. Haven't I been buying much from you to whatever profit you wished, taking the fabric from you and sending you the money afterwards? Badr al-Din replied, yes, indeed, but this time, I need the money today. She threw the piece of fabric back into the shop and said angrily, you merchants don't respect anyone. May God blight you all. Then she turned to go. When she turned to go, I felt as if my soul was going with her and cried out to her, for God's sake, lady, do me a favor and come back. She turned back, saying with a smile, I am coming back for your sake, and sat in the shop facing me. I asked Badr al-Din, sir, what was the price we set for this piece of fabric? He replied, 1,200 dirhams. I said, I will give you 100 dirhams as a profit for it. Give me a piece of paper. and I will write you a discharge." I wrote him a discharge, took the piece of fabric, and gave it to the lady, saying to her, "Take it, my lady, and if you wish, bring me the money next market day, or better yet, accept it as a present from me to you." She replied, "May God reward you and grant you a larger share of riches and a longer life than mine." And the gates of heaven opened and received Cairo's prayers. I said to her, "My lady, this piece of fabric is yours, and God willing, many like it. Only let me see your face." She turned her head and lifted her veil, and when I took one look, I sighed and lost my senses. Then she let down the veil and, taking the piece of fabric, said, "I will miss you," and departed, while I remained in the shop till past the afternoon prayer, lost in another world. When I asked Badr al-Din about the girl, he said, "She is a lady of wealth, the daughter of a prince who died and left her a great fortune." Then I took my leave of him and went to the caravansary, still thinking of her. And when they set supper before me, I could not eat, and when I lay down, I could not sleep but lay awake till dawn. Then I rose, changed my clothes and, swallowing something for breakfast, hurried to Badr al-Din's shop. The young man said, "Hardly had I been in Badr al-Din's shop when the lady came up, followed by a maid, and more richly dressed than before. She greeted me, instead of Badr al-Din, and said to me, 'Sir, let someone receive the money.' I said, 'What is the hurry for the money?' She replied, 'My dear, may I never lose you,' and handed me the money. Then we sat talking, and I dropped some hints, by which she understood that I desired to have an affair with her. She rose hastily, and went away, taking my heart with her. I left the shop, and walked in the market, when suddenly a black maid came up to me and said, 'My lord, my lady wishes to speak with you.' I was surprised and said, 'No one knows me here,' she said. 'My lord, how soon you seem to have forgotten her. My lady is the one who was in the merchant's shop today.' I walked with her until we came to the lane of the money changers, and when the lady saw me, she drew me aside and said to me, 'My dear, you have found a place in my heart, and from the day I first laid eyes on you, I have been unable to eat and drink.' I replied, 'I feel the same, and my condition speaks for my plight.' She asked, 'My dear, your place or mine?' I replied, 'I am a stranger here and have no lodging but the caravansary, so please do me a favor and let me come to your place.' She replied, 'Very well, my lord. Tonight is Friday night, and nothing can be done, but tomorrow, after you perform the morning prayer, ride an ass and ask for the house of the Syndic Barkut Abu Shama in the Habaniya quarter, and do not delay, for I will be waiting for you.' I said, 'Very well,' and I bade her goodbye. I waited impatiently for morning, and as soon as it was daylight, I arose, put on my clothes, and perfumed myself. Then I took 50 dinars in a handkerchief and walked from the Masra caravansary to the Zuwayla gate, where I hired an ass, bidding the driver take me to the Habaniya quarter. He set off with me, and in no time brought me to a side street called Al Taqwa Lane. I bade him go in and inquire about the house of the Syndic Barkut, known as Abu Shama, and he disappeared and soon returned and said, 'Very well, dismount.' I dismounted and said to him, 'Guide me to the house, so that you can find it when you return tomorrow to take me back to the Masra caravansary.' He took me to the house, and I gave him a quarter dinar and bade him go. I knocked at the gate, and there came out 2 little white maids who said, 'Please come in, for our mistress, being overjoyed with you, was unable to sleep last night.' I walked through the hallway and came to a hall, raised 7 steps above the ground and surrounded by windows, overlooking a garden that delighted the eye with running streams and all kinds of fruits and birds. In the middle of the hall, there was a square fountain at whose corners stood 4 snakes made of red gold, spouting water as if it were jewels and pearls. I entered the hall, and hardly had I sat down when the lady came up to me, bedecked in fine clothes and ornaments, with a diadem on her head. Her face was made up, and her eyes were penciled. When she saw me, she smiled at me, pressed me hard to her bosom and, setting her mouth to mine, sucked my tongue, and I did likewise. Then she said, "Can it be true, my little lord, that you have indeed come to me?" I replied, "Yes, I am with you and I am your slave." She said, "By God, since I first saw you, I have enjoyed neither food nor sleep." I said, "I have felt the same." Then we sat down to converse, while I kept my head bowed. Soon she set before me a tray with the most sumptuous dishes, such as ragu, fricassee, fritters soaked in honey, and chicken stuffed with sugar and pistachio nuts, and we ate until we were satisfied. Then the servants removed the tray, and after we washed our hands, and they sprinkled them with rosewater scented with musk, we sat down again to converse, and my love for her took such hold of me that all my wealth seemed little to me in comparison with her. We passed the time in dalliance till nightfall, when the servants set before us a banquet of food and wine, and we sat drinking till midnight. Then we went to bed, and I lay with her till the morning, having never spent a better night. When it was day, I arose and, slipping under the mattress the handkerchief containing the 50 dinars, took my leave of her. She wept and asked, "My lord, when shall I see you again?" I replied, "I will be with you this evening." She saw me to the door and said, "My lord, bring our supper with you." When I stepped out, I found the driver with whom I had ridden the previous day waiting for me, and I mounted, and he drove the ass to the caravansary. I dismounted, but did not pay him, saying, "Come back for me at sunset," and he replied, "Very well," and went away. After I had a little breakfast, I went out to collect the money from the sale of my merchandise. In the meantime I ordered a roasted lamb on a bed of rice, as well as some sweets, and, giving a porter directions to the lady's house, sent the food to her. Thus I occupied myself with my business till the end of the day, and when at sunset the driver came for me, I took 50 dinars in a handkerchief, adding to quarter dinars, and rode the ass, spurring it until in no time I reached the lady's house. I dismounted and gave the driver half a dinar. Then I entered and found that the house was better prepared than ever. When she saw me, she kissed me and said, "I've missed you all day long." Then the servants set the table, and we ate until we were satisfied. Then they brought us wine, and we drank till midnight. Then we went to the bedroom and lay together till daylight. When I arose, I left with her the 50 dinars in the handkerchief and went out, finding the driver waiting. I rode to the caravansary, where I slept a while. Then I went out and bought from a delicatessen a pair of home-grown geese on 2 platters of peppered rice. I also bought kolakasha roots, fried and soaked in honey, fruits and nuts, as well as aromatic herbs and candles, and sent them all with a porter to her house. Then I waited impatiently till nightfall, when I again took 50 dinars in a handkerchief and rode with the driver to the house. Again she and I conversed, ate, and lay together, and when I arose in the morning, I again left the handkerchief with her and rode back with the driver to the Masra caravansary. I continued like this, eating and drinking and giving her 50 dinars every night, until one day I found myself penniless, not knowing where to find money, and saying to myself, "There is no power and no strength saving God, the Almighty. This is Satan's doing." I left my lodging at the caravansary and walked along Bain Old Kazran Street until I came to the Zuwayla Gate, where it was so crowded that the gate was blocked up with people. As it had been foreordained, I found myself pressed against a soldier, so that my hand came upon his breast pocket and I felt a purse inside. I looked and, seeing a green tassel hanging from the pocket, realized that it was attached to the purse. The crush grew greater every moment, and just then a camel, bearing a load of wood, jostled the soldier on the other side, and he turned to ward it off from him, lest it should tear his clothes. And Satan tempted me, and I pulled the tassel and drew out a little blue silk purse, with something clinking inside. Hardly had I held the purse in my hand, when the soldier felt something and, touching his pocket with his hand, found it empty. He turned to me and, raising his mace, struck me with it on the head. I fell to the ground, while the people gathered around us and, holding the soldier back, asked him, "Is it because he pushed you that you struck him with such a blow?" but he shouted at them with curses and said, "This fellow is a thief." At that moment, I came to myself and got up, and the people looked at me and said, "This nice young man would not steal anything." Some believed him, while others did not. And after much debate, some of them were about to rescue me from him, when the chief of the police and the captain and the watchman entered through the gate and saw the crowd gathered around me and the soldier. The chief asked, "What is the matter?" And they told him what had happened, and the soldier said, "He stole from my pocket a blue silk purse containing 20 dinars. The chief asked him, "Was there anyone else with him?" And the soldier replied, "No." Then the chief cried out to the captain, bidding him seize me. Then he said, "Strip him naked." And when they did so and found the purse hidden in my clothes, I fell into a swoon. When the chief saw the purse, he seized it and took out the gold coins, and when he counted, he found 20 dinars. He was angry and, yelling at the officers to bring me before him, said to me, "Young man, there is no need to force it out of you, if you tell me the truth. Did you steal this purse?" I bowed my head and said to myself, "I cannot deny it, for they found the purse in my clothes. But if I confess, I will be in trouble." At last I raised my head and said, "Yes, I took it." When the chief heard my words, he called for witnesses, and they attested my confession. All of this took place at the Zuwayla gate. Then he summoned the executioner, who cut off my right hand, and he would have bidden him cut off my foot too. But as the people said to him, "This is a pitiful young man," and as I implored the soldier, who finally took pity on me and interceded for me with him, the chief left me and went away, while the people remained around me and gave me a cup of wine to drink. As for the soldier, he gave me the purse, saying, "You are a nice young man, and it does not become you to be a thief." Then he left me and went away. I wrapped my hand in a rag, thrust it into my bosom, and walked until I reached my mistress's house and threw myself on the bed. When she saw that I was pale from the bleeding, she asked, "My darling, what ails you?" I replied, "I have a headache." "Worried about me?" she said. "Sit up and tell me what has happened to you today, for it is written on your face." But I wept without reply. She said, "It seems as if you are tired of me. For God's sake, tell me what is the matter with you." But even though I kept silent and did not reply, she continued to talk to me till nightfall. Then she brought me food, but I refused it, for fear that she would see me eat with my left hand. And I said to her, "I don't care to eat anything." Again she asked, "Tell me what happened to you today, and what is troubling you?" I said, "Must I tell you?" Then she gave me wine to drink, saying, "Drink it, for it will make you feel better and help you tell me what happened." I replied, "If I must, then give me the wine." She drank, gave me the cup, and I took it with my left hand. When she gave me the cup, I took it with my left hand with tears in my eyes. She let out a loud cry and said, "My lord, why do you weep? And why do you hold the cup with your left hand?" I replied, "I have a boil on my right hand." She said, "Put it out, and I will lance it for you." I replied, "It is not ready yet." She kept forcing me to drink until I got drunk and fell asleep. Then she examined my right arm and found it a wrist without a hand. And when she searched me and found the purse and my severed hand wrapped in a handkerchief, she grieved for me and lamented till the morning. When I awoke, I found that she had made me a dish of broth of 5 boiled chickens, and after I ate some and drank a cup of wine, I laid down the purse and was about to go out, when she said to me, "Where are you going? Sit down." Then she added, "Has your love for me been so great that you have spent all your substance on me, until you finally lost even your hand? I pledge to you that I will die nowhere, but at your feet, and you shall soon see the truth of my words." Then she sent for witnesses and drew up a marriage contract, saying, "Write down that everything I own belongs to this young man." After she paid the witnesses their fee, she took me by the hand and, leading me to a chest, said to me, "Look at all these handkerchiefs inside. They contain all the money you brought me. Take your money back, for I can never reward you enough for your precious and dear self." Repeating, "Take your money." I locked the money in the chest, forgetting my sorrow and feeling happy, and thanked her. She said to me, "By God, even if I gave my life for you, it would be less than you deserve." We lived together, but in less than a month, she fell ill and continued to get worse because of her grief for me, and in less than 50 days, she was dead. After I buried her, I found that she had left me countless bequests, including the storeroom and the crop of sesame that you, Christian, sold for me. It was because I was busy selling the rest of the goods that I did not have the time to pay attention to you and receive my money from you. But now I have at last sold everything she left me. This then is the reason why I ate with my left hand. Now, by God, Christian, you must not object to what I am about to do, for I have entered your home and eaten your food. I make you a present of all the money you are holding for me from the sale of the sesame, for it is only a portion of what the Supreme God has bestowed on me. The young man added, "Christian, I have prepared a load of merchandise for trading. Will you go aboard with me?" I replied, "Yes, indeed," and agreed to go with him at the beginning of the month. Then after I had bought merchandise, I set out with the young man until we came to your city, O king, where he bought merchandise and went back to Egypt, but it was my lot to stay here. This then is my adventure and strange story. Isn't it, O king, more amazing than the hunchback's story? The king of China replied, "No, it is not more amazing than the hunchback's story, and I must hang all four of you for the hunchback's death." Then the steward of the king's kitchen came forward and said to the king of China, "O happy king, if I tell you a story that happened to me last night, before I found the hunchback in my house, and you find it to be more amazing than the hunchback's story, will you grant us our lives and let us go?" The king of China replied, "Yes, if I find it to be more amazing than the story of the hunchback, I will grant all four of you your lives." The Arabian Nights,